comfortably. All right. Good. So we'll come into a comfortable seated position. Be here for a few moments and make sure you settle in. If you have a prop or something to put under your hips, I always recommend it. Otherwise, just start to close your eyes and pay attention to your breath. Just start to listen to the air move in and out of the body. Good. We'll start not by changing anything, but just by listening to what the body has to say. So if you're breathing short and fast, you might be carrying a little bit of extra stress or anxiety. If your breaths are deep, maybe you need a little bit more energy in your life. Just start to listen to what your body has to say. Good. And then we'll start to deepen the breath, going in through the nose and out through the mouth. I like this breath cycle because we're letting out all the crap through the mouth. So normally we breathe in through the nose and out through the nose, but this is a good sort of opportunity to unload ourselves with our exhales. Maybe we'll take one more breath in. And as we exhale, open the eyes, hands come to prayer, and just take a moment to set your intention. Maybe you can close your eyes here. Good, and then with the inhale, we're going to bring our hands to the sky. Interlace the fingers and bring your palms to face the world above you. This is a great sort of start to the shoulder mobility as we start to listen to what our shoulders have to say. So just start to pay attention to how your shoulders feel here. Maybe your shoulders are really tight and you can only come out forward like this. Maybe you're feeling a little bit open in your upper back. But as you come into this position, make sure your shoulders come back and down as much as possible. That's the activation of your upper back that pulls down the shoulder blades and gives you a little bit more space in this position. Good. And then as we inhale, we're going to twist over to the right. And then as we exhale, we're going to release our hands. Left hand comes to the right knee, finding a gentle twist, looking over the right shoulder. And then as we inhale, hands come back to center. Don't bother interlacing the hands this time. We're just going to quickly stop by here before coming to the second side. So right hand comes to the left thigh. Left hand comes behind you as you twist behind. And remembering to find a little bit of length on the inhale so that you can twist deeper on the exhale. Good. Inhale brings you back up to center. And as you exhale, cactus your arms. So you're opening your palms to the world in front of you, but you're trying to bring your elbows sort of back and down. And doing so, you're activating your upper back and opening your heart just a little bit. This is a gentle version. We'll come back to this, maybe a more exciting version of this in a moment. Just notice how your shoulders might feel tight here. Maybe your lower back needs to be protected, so you're activating your core to protect your lower back. So we're in a seated position. It should always be active. Good. And then as we exhale, we're going to come forward into a tabletop position. Hands under your wrists, under your shoulders. I always get that wrong. And knees under your hips. Yes, good. Then as we inhale, drop the belly to the earth. Open your heart forward into a cow-like position. And then as we exhale, dome the shoulders, arch your back like a cat on Halloween. As you exhale, good. Inhale comes to cow. Exhale, cat. Good. Inhale, cow. Stay in cow for just a moment. So as you exhale, stay in cow. And notice how your shoulders and your heart are in this position. So you really want to be opening your heart forward, almost like you're trying to bring the heart through the window of the arms. Good, and then as you exhale, dome your shoulders, come into cat, and we're going to stay in cat for a moment as well, taking inventory of where the pelvis is tilted, the lower back is domed. You're creating space between the shoulder blades here. Good, and then inhale to a neutral spine. Good, and then as we exhale, maybe bring the right toes back, toes tucked to the earth. We're just going to open up the calves a little bit. Good, and then inhale brings that right leg up to the sky, remembering to activate that lower core, because this is what protects your lower back here. So almost like you're trying to do both cat and cow at the same time, you're trying to keep that spine straight. So you really don't want that spine to bend like this, so you're dumping a bunch of energy into your lower back. You really want the back to be active and engaged. Good, and then exhale, we're going to bring the right leg out to the side this time, like an airplane. Sorry for the weird camera angle, but my foot, I swear there's a leg behind it. Good. And then bring it back to center and set it down. It's a little bit of opening up the right outside hip. And we're going to bring the toes on the left foot back, opening up the calf on the second side. And then as we exhale, bring the left leg up and back. And again, keeping that core active and engaged so that you are, this should feel like a glute workout. So you're really trying to work your butt here, trying to bring that left leg up and back. Maybe a hamstring exercise as well, but you want to do so by protecting the lower back. And then as we exhale, bring that left leg out to the left, sort of like a weird airplane pose. And we'll just be here for 3, for 2, and for 1. Set it down. Good. Now for the wrists, we're just going to spend a couple of moments on the wrists, not too long. But you want to flip the left hand so that the top of the left hand is on the earth. So if you look at me at the camera for just a moment, imagine you're the floor, your hands look like this. Opening up the top of the left hand, forearm, getting a little nice stretch here. Good, and then we'll switch sides, right hand, top of the right hand to the earth. Just a little bit of an opening here. Giving a little bit of love and attention to perhaps the fingers that have been typing all day. Good, release. We're going to flip our hands backwards so that they're now rotated so that the palms are sort of facing forward, fingertips back to the knees. Still in that tabletop position, just trying to get a little bit into your wrists, letting them warm up a little bit. Good, and then release your hands back to normal, tuck your toes, raise your hips up to the sky, coming into your first downward facing dog of your practice. Maybe you bend your knees, pedal out your legs. Take a moment here to just come into the pose. Maybe recenter if you're on camera. Get some dirt off your mat, pedaling out your feet. Good, and then as we inhale, we're going to raise the left leg up to the sky. Stay here. And then as we exhale, bring that left leg forward, right knee to the earth, and coming into low crescent round lunge or Anjaneyasana, first side. You should really feel an opening across the front of your right hip. And you can push into the ground with that right leg, that right foot in particular. It's going to give you some additional stability and maybe get a little bit deeper into the quads. Good, and then you're going to drop your left hand down to the side. Switch camera angles here just a moment. Boop. There we go. So your left hand is down by the side, almost like it's on an imaginary block, and you're just going to try and find a little bit of an opening, side bend on the right side of the body. Good. Inhale back to center, hands to the sky. And then as you exhale, straighten that left leg, opening up into a half splits. Left foot out in front of you. Take a moment here. So I really love opening the hamstrings, but there are so many hamstrings to open. So you can rotate your foot clockwise or counterclockwise here. And notice how that changes where the sensation is in your hamstrings, your glutes, maybe your calves. And just take a moment to find the part that you need most, and then just breathe into that part for a moment. Good. Inhale brings you back to low crescent lunge for just a moment. And then as you exhale, hands to either side of your left foot, tuck your right toes, and push your way back to downward facing dog. Maybe you go through a vinyasa, maybe you don't. This is your practice. You can do whatever you choose. And then on the next inhale, raise that right leg up to the sky. And stay here for just a breath. And then as you exhale, right leg forward, left knee to the ground, and opening up into low crescent lunge. Anjaneyasana on the second side. You can maybe find a gentle back bend here. So as you sit in this low crescent lunge, opening up that left hip, your upper body is active and engaged. So you might be presenting your heart to the world above you, dropping your shoulder blades back and down, maybe finding a deeper expression of this pose. Just remember to protect your lower back. So you might be tempted to reach back super far, but if your core is not engaged, it's going to hurt. So you really want to activate the core, even if that means you don't go as far back. As you exhale, bring that right arm down to the side. We're doing that same side bend stretch, so opening that left side body by reaching over with your left hand, right hand resting on an imaginary block. Good, and then as you exhale, come back to center. Inhale back to center, and then exhale, forward fold over the right leg. And again, maybe take a moment to find the part of your hamstrings that need attention today. For me, it's an internal rotation of the foot, so my inner hamstrings are tight. Usually means I've been sitting in a chair for too long, forgot to take a break. Good, and then inhale brings the right foot up to the floor, opening up into a low crescent lunge for just a breath. And then exhale, framing the right foot with your hands, tucking your left toes, and stepping back into downward facing dog. Again, maybe taking a vinyasa if that's what your body is craving. Good. Inhale brings the left foot up and back. Exhale, left foot forward. This time we're going to open up into warrior one. So the right foot, heel pivots to the earth, pelvis stays pointing forward as you come forward into a warrior one position. So the difference between warrior one and warrior two, there are a lot of things that are different, but the big thing here is just your hips, making sure your hips are pointed forward, rather than in warrior two where your hips are pointing off to the side, like headlights. Good, and then as you exhale, bring your hands down and interlace your hands behind you. We're not going to come into it this time around, but we'll be back. We're going to take a shoulder opener here. So interlace your hands behind your back, maybe grab opposite elbows, and basically just take your arms back, exploring the shoulder opening that you might experience here. Good. And then exhale, release. Hands up to the sky one more time. And exhale, hands down. Flow through vinyasa if that's calling to you. And meet us in downward facing dog. Inhale brings the right leg up and back. Exhale, forward. Turning the left heel to the earth as you open up into a warrior one position. And again, checking in with your hips here, making sure that you're grabbing the earth with the outside edge of the left leg to come deeper into this pose. And then as you exhale, bring the hands down. This time around, interlace your fingers with the opposite thumb on top. So this is going to feel weird, but weird is good sometimes. I'm going to take a moment opening your heart to the sky, getting a gentle shoulder opener in this position. We will be back. Good. As you exhale, release your hands. Inhale, hands to the sky. And exhale, hands down. Maybe flow through vinyasa. Maybe just to meet us in downward facing dog. Take a moment in downward facing dog. Pedal out your legs again. Maybe check in with those shoulders. Notice how bringing the shoulder blades back and down in downward facing dog changes the sensation in your upper body, maybe your lower body. Interesting how modifying one part of the body affects the other. Or maybe it doesn't. Every body is unique. Everyone is different. That's half the fun. Inhale brings that left leg up to the sky. Exhale brings that left leg forward, opening up into a warrior one again this time. So right heel pivots to the earth. Hands to the sky. As we exhale, interlace the fingers, coming behind. And this time we're going to meet in humble warrior. So humble warrior, start by opening your heart to the sky. And then as you exhale, drop your shoulders down into the inside of your left leg. Breathe here. And then as you inhale, use the length and strength of your arms to pull your body up to a standing position one more time. Release the hands. Inhale, hands to the sky. And then exhale, open your hips to the side, coming into a warrior two. So we're not going down quite yet. We're going to flow a little. So hands opening up to the side. Checking in with those shoulders. Remember, when you're in warrior two, you want to be pushing some imaginary walls away from you, which helps you position your shoulders back and down. As you inhale, flip the left hand, palm to the sky, and open up into a humble, peaceful warrior. And then as you exhale, come forward into a gentle, extended side angle pose. You might bring your elbow to your knee. If you're ready for it, looking for more, you could bring your hand to the mat. Just remember to try and keep a straight line between your toes and your fingers. And as you exhale, bring your hands down, framing either side of the left foot. Bring your right toes tuck your right toes, and make your way through a vinyasa to downward facing dog. Good. And then as you inhale, right leg to the sky. And exhale, right leg forward. Pivoting the left heel to the earth, opening your arms to the sky, warrior one on the second side. As you exhale, interlace your hands. Remember, weird thumb on top this time. Wait, which side feels weird? I don't know. That one seems unusual. Let's do this one. Good. Inhale, open your heart to the sky. And exhale, fold forward. Bringing your body inside the right thigh. And then just take a moment here to find the deepest expression of the pose. As you inhale, use the strength of your arms to pull you back to a standing position. Release your hands to the sky. And then as you exhale, warrior two, second side. Inhale, flip the right hand palms to the sky. Open up into a peaceful warrior. And then as you exhale, right elbow to right knee. As you bring the left hand up and open up into an extended side angle pose. And again, if your body is craving it and you're already all warmed up, maybe you bring that right hand to the inside or the outside of the right leg. Just remember to keep a straight line. And then as you exhale, bring that left hand down to meet the right. Bring the right arm outside of the right leg. Tuck the left toes and vinyasa through to downward facing dog. Good. Check in with your shoulder blades here. Maybe notice how the position of your elbows affects the position of your shoulders. You can experiment with rotating your elbows. Maybe you open the elbow pits or whatever these are called in front of you. Maybe you twist them so that they face each other. Good. And then as you inhale, walk forward to a forward fold at the top of your mat. Coming into a forward fold, releasing your arms, letting gravity do the work. You grab opposite elbows. Good, release your elbows. Inhale, come into a chair pose. So hands to the sky, hips down. Just taking a break here, letting those hips hang loose. It's a lovely pose. You can just let those hips not lie. Good. And then on the next inhale, stand up, straight arms, arms to the sky. Find a gentle back bend. And exhale, hands to prayer. Terrible camera angle. Well, we're working on it. Good. On the next inhale, we're going to sit back into chair. This time around, you're going to find a gentle twist. So twist over first by looking over your right side. Bring your hands to prayer. And then, while maintaining that twist, try and come down so the left elbow comes to the outside of the right knee. If this doesn't feel comfortable, don't do it. Just trying to find a little bit of a twist here. Good. Inhale brings you back up to chair. And exhale to the second side. Right elbow to the outside of the left knee. Inhale to chair. It's a good thing chair is a recovery pose, or we would start to be a little uncomfortable. Good. Inhale all the way up. Find a gentle back bend. And exhale, hands to prayer. All right. Inhale brings your hands to the sky. Exhale, forward fold, swan diving. Inhale, halfway up. Coming to a flat back. And stay here for a moment. We often use this as a transitionary pose. But take a moment here, check in with your body, and make sure you're honest with yourself. So a lot of people like to come into what I call not flat back, when they want to come so far forward. But, maybe a flat back involves coming all the way up. Maybe this is where your flat back is, and this is all you need to do today. Maybe you come further, but don't compromise the length in your spine to feel like you're coming closer to the earth. The whole point of keeping a flat back here is that you're engaging the hamstrings and the glutes and getting a little bit of an opening. So as soon as you bend the knees or dome your back, you lose the integrity of the pose, and then you might as well be having a cold beer and watching TV. Maybe that's not quite so true as it sounds, but whatever. The imagery sounds awesome to me. Exhale, forward fold, and we're going to step back first into a plank. And you can do a modified plank here, that's okay. So goal here, I want to check in with the shoulders and the wrists. So we'll come modified plank, you just have your knees on the ground. Regular plank, just toes are tucked. Oh man, having a camera is the worst. And you're so self-critical. So in this position, check in with your shoulders and notice where they're at. So a lot of times people like to creep their shoulders together, which as you can see compromises the pose. You want to keep your shoulders back and down here. And what you want to do is sort of open your heart forward. And if you untuck your toes, you could bring your hips to the earth and come into an upward facing dog. All right, upward facing dog, ultimately a back bend. But you're trying to bring your heart through the window of your arms to activate and engage the upper back and shoulders. Coincidentally, this is a lovely chest opener. Good, and then as you exhale, bring those hips up and back, coming into a downward facing dog. As you inhale, bring the left leg up to the sky. And then as you exhale, bring that left foot to the outside edge of your mat. We're going to come into a lizard pose. So lizard pose, your left leg is to the outside edge of the mat. Your right leg could stay straight, or you could bring your knee to the earth. Your hands can stay on the ground, or if you're feeling particularly open or you want to explore the sensation, you can either come down onto your elbows. This is totally fine, but notice where your shoulders go when you come into this pose. So you can either come forward like this, or if you keep your hands on the earth, you can bring your chest forward, almost like we were just doing the upward facing dog. Maybe try and imagine bringing your heart through the window of your arms. I find it really interesting to do a pose like lizard, where you're working on the hamstrings and maybe the hip mobility, maybe the quad flexibility on the back leg, and to focus on a different body part entirely, like your shoulders or your back. Most good yoga poses are full body poses. Good, and then exhale, tuck those right toes, And come back into downward facing dog. Good. Inhale, right leg to the sky. Exhale, right foot forward to the outside edge of the mat. Maybe bring that left knee to the earth, untuck your toes, maybe don't. Maybe come down to your elbows, or maybe try to bring your heart through the window of your arms one more time. And notice how the position of your elbows, the positions of your hands, affects your shoulder position, which, as you recall, wants to be back and down. Good, and then as you exhale, tuck the left toes and come on back to downward facing dog one last time. And as you exhale, bring your knees to the earth. We're going to come into puppy pose, but we're doing this in a different order today. So puppy pose, you might be feeling a lot more open. Here you might not be. But pay attention to your shoulders as you walk your hands forward and bring your heart down. And notice how you want to keep your arms really anchored into the shoulders, into the rotator cuffs here. There's a lot of arm strength in this position, a lot of upper back strength as you open the shoulders, open the chest. Good, and then as you inhale, come back to tabletop position. Keeping your toes tucked, let's sit back in my favorite pose, as I've kind of missed it. I know we didn't ask for it, but that's okay. Screaming toe pose. Screaming toe, you just have your toes tucked, and you're either sitting back on your heels if you're feeling hardcore, or if you need a little bit gentler, you can always come up onto your knees. This is easier, but no less of an activation, because you're looking to open the bottoms of your feet. Putting pressure on your feet may help, or it might just hurt. And while we're here, since I like a distraction, we're going to come into Garudasana arms. So Garudasana arms, you're going to bring your left arm over. Let me see if I can switch the camera angle. There we go. Left arm over, right arm under. Simple as that. Right elbow is underneath the left. Now, you can either grab opposite elbows, opposite shoulders, or if you're feeling a little bit more open, maybe you twist your arms together, palms meet. Now, in this position, pay attention to the shoulders. Notice how they really want to hunch forward, and notice how that feels really bad. Now, what you really want to do is bring your shoulders back and down, opening the space between your ears and your shoulders, and maybe bring your elbows up. And notice how that feels really different. Good. And it's been about a minute, so let's release everything. Come forward, untuck the toes, tap the tops of the toes and the bottom of just to get a little bit of lifeblood into them. It looks like my camera's maybe wigging out a little bit. Sorry about that. And then let's sit back onto our heels. Take a moment here. We all know where we're going back to in a moment, so enjoy sitting back on your heels, which opens up the tops of your feet. All right, well, there's no rest for the weary, so back up onto your knees as you tuck your toes. Sit back into screaming toe. We'll be here for about a minute. And this time around, you're doing the other side. So your left elbow is coming under your right elbow. So your right elbow is on top this time. Maybe you grab opposite shoulders, or maybe you twist into full Garudasana. Noticing again, the important part here is that your shoulders aren't hunching towards your ear. You're instead creating space by opening the area between the ears and the shoulders, pulling your shoulders back and down, and then pulling your arms, maybe pulling your elbows up. Good, and then release your arms, release your toes. Tap the tops of your toes on the mat, bringing a little bit of life back to the parts where maybe you have constrained the blood flow a little bit. And then leaving your toes untucked, sit back onto your heels and enjoy this top of the foot opener stretch. So this is an active pose. It may feel like an easy sitting pose, but you're hopefully getting a little bit of an opening on the tops of the legs. If you're not, well, then you're just enjoying a lovely seated pose, which is okay too. Good. And then we're going to come into a seated twist. So this pose is called Ardha Matsyendrasana, which is the half Lord of the Fishes pose. So half Lord of the Fishes pose, what you're going to do, let's just start by bringing your feet out in front of you. So feet out straight in front of you, like so. Then bring your left foot over so the left ankle comes to the outside of the right knee, or give or take. You are going to be twisting over to your left. So if you're pregnant, don't do this. Maybe come into an open twist instead, because closed twist's not so great. Not so great for the baby. So you can either keep your right leg straight, or if you want a little bit more, you can bring that right leg sort of in so the right heel comes to the outside of the left hip. And then I like to do Ardha Matsyendrasana with the right arm coming around the knee. So a lot of people like to bring their right elbow to the other side of the knee, but notice what that does to your shoulder. So instead, I like to wrap my right arm around the knee and find a twist by pulling my heart open into the left. Looking over the left shoulder. So the temptation here, by the way, we're going to be here for about 20 seconds or so. The temptation here is to bring that right elbow into the knee and then use that elbow as leverage. But if you do that and if you're not super open in the shoulders already, or in the twist already, your right shoulder is going to start to collapse. So it's really tempting for that right shoulder to come forward and down when you don't really want it to do so. Good. Release. Find a gentle counter twist by twisting over to the right. Just a short, gentle counter twist. We're not going to be here very long. Good. And then inhale back to center. We're going to switch the legs to this second side. So straightening both legs. Bending the right knee so that your right ankle comes to the outside of the left foot. Maybe keeping your left leg straight. Maybe bending your left leg so that the heel comes to your right hip. And then again, find a twist. So you're going to twist, this time looking over your right shoulder, back to the world behind you. And again, maybe this is a better angle, but notice how if the left elbow comes forward of the knee, you're immediately collapsing that left shoulder, which is not great. So in a yoga pose, you really don't want to collapse and do something bad to transition to something good, because the intermediate steps matter. So I'd rather you do a little bit easier, a little bit gentler, and a little bit more mindful of your body. And notice that it doesn't have to look good to feel good. It doesn't have to look good to feel good. I can't say how many years it took me to learn that lesson. But after 2 bum knees and a torn shoulder, I finally learned. Good. Exhale, release. Find a gentle counter twist, twisting over your left side a little bit. Good. And then inhale, back to center, legs straight in front of you. And make sure you have enough room behind you as we come back into a reclined position. So we haven't done any back bends. Haven't done any back bends, air quotes intended. So we're going to come into we're going to make our way to bridge. So start with a prone position, hands out, presented to the world above you. Then you're going to tuck your heels in so that you're bringing your legs, feet to the earth, and your heels should be close enough that you can touch them with your fingertips. That's sort of the recommended sort of orientation that you want to be here. Then gently and actively peel your spine off the earth by tucking your pelvis first, and notice how tucking the pelvis starts to pull the legs out that way. And then as you pull yourself up, maybe notice how you start to rotate onto the top of the shoulders. So you can stay here, or if you're feeling particularly open, and take your hands, interlace them underneath you, and then when you do so, you really want to roll onto the tops of your shoulders. So your shoulders should still be carrying most of the weight here. So if you're putting a lot of weight into your neck, come out of it. You should almost be able to pick your neck up off the earth, but don't do so because it might feel weird. And then as you sit in this, not wheel, crap, I forgot the bridge pose. As you sit in bridge pose, maybe start to look at your legs. So this is canonically a back bend, so you should feel an opening in the upper back and spine. But as you sit in this pose, maybe start to pay attention to which parts of your leg are active. Is it your quads, or are your hamstrings activating? And if it's your hamstrings, try as you might to figure out how to move most of the tension into your quads. So it's an interesting thought exercise as you're sitting here in this lovely back bend, maybe longer than you wanted to be. So release your hands and gently, gently unroll your spine to the earth so that the pelvis and tailbone come down last. Good. Take a moment here, windshield wiper your knees, left to right. And we're going to come into a second bridge pose. And I'm going to present a couple of variations. I'm going to present one variation that I really like. I happen to have a block. If you don't have a block, you can use a rolled up towel or really anything. Highly recommend having a block at home. They're awesome. You can use them for pretty much anything, but we are sheltering in place, so don't go out to buy one. This time around, we're going to come into bridge pose the second time. This time again, unraveling the spine from the earth, leading with your tailbone. You really want every vertebra of your spine coming up at a different moment. This is super important because what you're doing is you're activating some of the inner core muscles in your abdomen and that area. And by doing the spine, vertebra by vertebra unraveling, you're activating a couple of muscles that you don't typically use that often. Maybe you're activating the parts of your body that a lot of yogis call like hollow body. I don't remember the name of the muscle, but it's totally there. All right, so if you're here, you can stay here. Maybe you interlace your hands behind you like you did before, or if you have a block, what you can do is you can just bring that block underneath your sacrum. The sacrum, whatever that bone is, the fused bone that is like the bottom few vertebra of your spine, your tailbone area. So that's a big flat piece of bone. Set that down on a block or on something raised. Now, if you're here, this is called a restorative bridge pose, and it's awesome. So you can stay here for a while. You can open your palms to the sides. You can even straighten your legs, and this starts to open up, get back into those psoas and hip muscles that we were opening at the beginning of class. Oh, I could stay here forever. Okay, but we still have a few minutes left of class. So let's do one more thing. Let's do a twist. So bring your feet back to center. If you moved them, if you had a block underneath your hips, take a moment to remove the block, set it to the side, and now unravel the spine to the earth vertebra by vertebra, and notice how your hollow body, the core muscle, the abdomen, engage to protect your back as you unravel your spine to the earth. Those same muscles are what protect your back when you're in plank or in tabletop with the legs raised. Good. Now you're going to bring your right leg to the earth and then bring your left leg in, grabbing your knee. Take a moment first to hug your knee in. You have time for this, yes? All right, yeah, we do. Okay, cool. So hug your left leg in. Let's do something different. All right. Then you're gonna, no, I don't know if anyone has straps. Okay, cool. Then you're gonna bring your left knee back to center and then bring the left knee over to the right side of the body. So we're finding a gentle twist, opening up the left side body with a twist, and then looking over your left shoulder as your left knee comes to the right side of the mat. Oh, sorry. My button is on the right side of my thigh. That's going to change the camera if I roll onto it. And then as you're in this twist, take an inventory of the sensations that you're experiencing. So you might feel a lot, maybe just under the rib cage on the left side. Maybe you feel a lot in the hips. Maybe you feel a lot in the serratus muscles, these muscles here on the side of the core. Now, wherever you're at, bring the right hand to the inside of the left hip and just gently push it down. So what you're doing here is you're creating a little bit of an extension by pushing down on the left thigh, the left hip. You're opening up the left side body a little bit more. And this sensation, you can almost imagine doing so statically. And words are just not my strong suit today. You're just trying to open up the left side body in a different way by pushing down mechanically on the left hip. And this does a slightly different twist and slightly different opening than you were doing before. Good. Inhale brings that left leg to center. Give that left leg a hug for a moment, and then let it lie long. And then we come to the second side, bringing the right leg in, hugging the right knee to the chest, maybe to the outside of the chest. And you're just trying to get a little bit of, that's a last minute stretch to some of the parts of the body. And then as you exhale, bring that right leg over the left side of the body, opening up into a twist on the second side. And this time, we're going to explore a slightly different part of the body, which is totally okay. That left foot, make sure that left foot is active and engaged and pushing into the earth with the outside edge of the left foot. And notice how that changes the sensation of the body. So if you're letting that left leg hang long, maybe it's easier to twist, which is okay. But if you activate the left side body and the left leg and push the outside of the left leg into the earth, insides and outsides, you open a different part of maybe the shoulders, maybe the right hip. You give a little bit more of an option for that right hip to drop down, just like we were pushing down on the other side. Good, and then inhale back to center, give that right knee a hug one more time, and exhale, let it hang long. So, one more quick pose. Bring your feet together, knees sit wide, coming to a reclined cobbler's pose. And then in reclined cobbler, maybe you stay here, or maybe you open your hands in a reclined cobbler with a cactus arms. And just stay here and let gravity do the work. It gets a little bit of a heart opener, a little bit of a hip opener. And you're just letting Earth do what it does best. And you can stay here as we come into Shavasana, or you can straighten your legs long, bring your hands to your sides, and we'll be in Shavasana for about 2 minutes. You can also, if you're looking for a slightly different variation, you can always bring your feet up. So I love this variation where your legs are against a wall. Very, very relaxing. So come into Shavasana and let go of everything that you've been holding on to. Let go of this world, this place, this sensation, this practice, this breath. Just let it go. As simple as that. Good, and just like we let go of everything moments ago, begin to come back into yourself. And as you come into this place, you come into this space, bring something with you. Bring love and compassion, sense of empathy, joy, love. Bring something with you into this world as you come home. Start to bring awareness to your fingers and your toes. Grasping this world with ankles and wrists. Coming into the body through your knees and your elbows. And finally integrating together into your core through your shoulders, your neck, and your hips. Gently roll to one side. Maybe use your arm as a pillow as you sit in this moment of rebirth. And then using your arm strength at your own pace, maybe push up into a seated position. Eyes closed, hands in prayer. It is a gift to be able to teach you. I thoroughly enjoy these moments together. The light in me basks in the glory that is the light in each and every one of you. Namaste. All right. Wow. Thank you.